Welcome back to The Shape of a Podcast. Nope, that's not the name of it. That is not the name of it. Welcome back to The Shape of a Person, our new podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, the reason behind this podcast is that my colleague, Becky, and I are professors at a community college in the Houston suburbs, and we think our students are the most interesting people we've ever had a conversation with, and we wanted them to share their stories with you. So each week, we're bringing you a new story and a new student. And this week, we bring you Tanya from Russia, the exquisite Tanya, the fascinating Tanya. She shares such an interesting perspective, not only of her own experiences, but that of her children. And they are such commendable people. I'm just in awe of them and what they've gone through and the attitude that they've taken to this challenge. So we hope you enjoy listening to this episode. We certainly enjoyed recording it. So here you go. This is Tanya. We're so happy that you're here joining us this morning and taking time out of spring break, which is incredibly generous to give up a moment of spring break to be here. So would you introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanya. I'm from Russia, Moscow, and I love to be here.
And how long have you been in the United States?
We've been here for 1.5 years together with my family, with our kids, with our 2 boys.
Oh. How old are your boys, Tanya?
17 and 12 years old.
Oh, I didn't realize you have a 17-year-old.
Yeah, I didn't realize it too. But he's an old boy, and I think that for him, our move to the United States was the most difficult decision.
Sure.
Because for him, to change his environment, his school, and his friends' circle was really difficult.
Yes, because he was 15 when you left Russia then?
Yeah,
oh, boy.
Yeah, and it's here he met with, he faced with absolutely different atmosphere, environment,
Sure.
and when we used to live in Moscow, each city, every whole city was under his feet.
Oh,
and
yes.
after the school, he can go everywhere with his friends,
Yes.
and they went with their class to the skating rink, to museums, to theaters. And here it's not a lot of places where they can go, and he hasn't had a car yet. But he tried to find something new, important, better here, and he found new friends from different cultures. They organized a band, rock band.
No way!
Yeah.
He's in a band. That's so cool.
He decided to be a head of computer programming club.
Okay,
And
like coding club?
Coding club,
wow.
Yeah. And for him, it's like this movement was like a step from his comfort zone.
Yes, far out of his
Did your kids study English before coming here?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
From the kindergarten.
Oh, good.
But I think it was more about to improve, to extend your dictionary, and of course they study grammar a lot. But here they faced with natural language, how
And
to
teenager
communicate.
language.
Absolutely,
I don't understand teenagers here, and English is my first language.
Yeah,
yes.
completely
Oh my gosh.
different language everywhere at school, and. For example, our eldest son, he studied math, physics, programming, but there are a lot of terminology in that subjects, and for him it was not really easy just to switch on to this process.
That like technical English.
Yeah.
So he has on the one hand teenage slang that he needs to learn, and on the other hand really highly technical English at school.
Academic language.
Academic language, because is he in 12th grade now? Is he a senior or 11th grade?
11th grade.
Okay. So he was a freshman when you moved here in 9th grade. Oh boy. That's a hard time in life as it is.
But from the other hand, I think that that decision helps us to combine our efforts, to combine our family, and to be closer to each other. Because I couldn't say that we have to survive, but we have to cope with these. I couldn't say problems, but with many difficulties, challenges, of course. And you need to find new friends, a new society, and your ordinary life changed completely because you need to find the best, for example, grocery store. It's a challenge too. You need to find good doctors and a lot of services, and you need to organize your ordinary life too. And of course, but here I see that we can go outside, but there are not a lot of places for visiting, and that's why we try to be together. We try to go on to walk on natural trails all together, travel a lot around the United States in one car, singing songs and just discussing something. And today my husband told me, that today I see that how our kids are growing up, because and it's one important thing that we found in the United States culture, that here parents, especially fathers, they are really involved in their family life, in their kids' life. In Russia, it's a little bit different. I can say that completely different. That fathers, so they just support family, they provide money, but they don't have free time, and maybe they try to avoid this responsibility. But here, I see how often fathers they try to participate in different events at school, everywhere, in sports clubs, and it's great.
Yes.
And my husband, he sees this approach, and he thinks, wow, it's great. I want to be
more involved.
I think it's really beautiful how you've taken on these challenges, but it's instead of being like an obstacle, it's brought your family closer, and you're all kind of in this situation together. You're going through it together, and that's such an interesting observation about like the different family roles. What were your reasons, or what kind of was the thought process for your family to decide to come here in the first place?
My husband, together with my husband, we had a company in Russia. It was, we fixed this company, and the other branch in the United States, they proposed to my husband to participate, to work here, and just to, and the main reason was to keep his knowledge and maybe to provide his knowledge for this market, and not just fixed on that level as you are together with your company. Not frozen for a long period of time, for 3 years. We didn't know how long this conflict would be, and we decided to move just to get new knowledge, just to understand how to survive on a new market. And we knew that, for example, the United States market. It's more about business, more about how to achieve new levels. And here, my husband, he faced with a lot of challenges because he had huge knowledge in his sphere, but he needs to cope with language obstacles too, and he needs to communicate with native speakers about his what should they do. But today he told me, that maybe someone thinks that I don't know English well. As a native speaker, I can communicate with everyone, but maybe my English knowledge, they're not ideal. But my technical skills, they are really well. And I know a lot of different cases. I faced with a lot of problems on manufacturing in manufacturing companies, and I know how to fix something, how to improve their producing cycle. And the next level, he told me that the next step, when people understand his amount of knowledge, they forget about his language skills, because knowledge it's more important than language.
That's right. And you just have to have enough language to convey the knowledge, and he does. You had told me in class that your family, your parents and siblings, were nervous about your idea to relocate. Are they changing their minds now that you've been here longer, or are they still anxious?
I think that they're not happy about this decision. You're absolutely right. And they don't agree with us, with our decision, and it's a tragedy. It's a big problem for us, because we want to be in peace with our family. Course, we want to that we intend that they will appreciate all our efforts, so that they will understand it. But today they just tell us that it's better than you are all together, that you're happy all together. And they ask our kids, do you like this country? Do you like your surroundings, your environment here? And when they hear of that answer, that we're absolutely here, maybe they will accept that decision. I hope that maybe one day they will change their mind, and I think that they need to come here and they need to see how we live and how everything is different here. And it's interesting. It's absolutely different experience. And
different than you had thought it would be too?
Absolutely.
How so? That's interesting. What surprised you?
I think that for me the most surprising thing was our neighbors. They are really friendly. They came to our house. They just brought different presents for us, and we are so happy that you arrived. And for us, of course, in our politics, many people try to provide information, try to provide that image that our countries are the enemies, but I'm absolutely not agree with it. And today maybe we have a lot of things to discuss, but it doesn't mean that we are enemy, and it doesn't mean that other people are enemies too.
Yes.
And it means that our neighbors, they don't throw up, please go out from our country. They just accepted us, and it was, for me, it was so surprising moment. And of course, our first month was just, you were in a Mars or in another planet, because you try to understand what did that other people tell you, because it was completely different language when you studied at school, at university, somewhere. And for example, I had a coach, a teacher. He was a native speaker in Russia, and he used to live in Russia for 15 years.
Okay.
And today I understand that his pronunciation was like a mix of English and Russian.
Oh.
And he spoke really slowly, and I understood him completely.
Yes.
But when I arrived here, it was every time it was, what? What are you talking about? Can you please repeat it? Because it was absolutely different language, a different culture, everything was different.
Was that humbling? Because you are highly intelligent and successful, and I don't understand Russian, obviously, but I can tell that you are quite, what am I trying to say? That you communicate very easily and beautifully in Russian. Was that frustrating?
No,
do you feel like people were treating you differently because you couldn't show your intellect and your...
Of course.
Yes.
Or did you even feel like you weren't fully yourself?
Yeah,
maybe even now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can fully express yourself?
Today, not, because here in college, I extended my vocabulary, and I try to communicate every day, and it means that it helps me to improve my communicative skills. Sure. But when I arrived here, it was like, wow. I have a lot of thoughts, I have a lot of ideas, and how can I express them?
Yes.
It was so difficult challenge, but it helps me to understand that, okay, you have just that you have, and you need to study, you need to improve, because in Russian we have this slang word "mumukать." It means when you can't express your thoughts. And for me, it was a challenge just to overcome this problem.
You felt like mumuke every day, right?
To change the pace from, to change your level from mumuka to communicate with native speakers.
Well, I do want to, Tanya, I haven't had the pleasure of having you in a class, but you're one of those students who is everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
I think you really take advantage of things like when we have conversation groups in English after class, when you come to our poetry hour, and I can tell that your level of expression, being able to express yourself, is very sophisticated, because to talk about poetry in a language that's not your own, it's just been very impressive getting to know you just outside of the classroom. But when I think about what you could be able to express in your native language, must be, even more impressive. So I'm just really, really inspired by the fact that you take that opportunity to, push yourself to speak English in all sorts of different situations.
I imagine it just bubbling up inside of you, like that Tanya that's trying to come out, and it's coming out in little bursts in English, So I did not have you in class last semester either, but just in interacting with you outside of class, and now you're, poor dear, in 3 of my classes this semester, your English has improved dramatically from the first conversation I had with you, sitting here now when you're saying things like communicative. Just
it's a hard word.
Eddie, do you know the word communicative over there? Pronounce, and just it's not a common. So it's all your efforts are paying off, but that's so. I don't know. it must be kind of exhausting. Like, okay, every day I've got to get up and I've got to do this again.
And it's important that here in our campus, you provide us a lot of different events, opportunities, chances to communicate with different peoples. And it's like in Babylon City, when people build it up the Babylon Tower.
Oh, yeah, the Tower of Babel.
And then they ruined,
Destroyed the tower, right?
the tower, and they can't communicate again altogether. And here we just like after destroying the Babylon Tower, we need to communicate. But I don't know Spanish language. I don't know Portuguese and others, Chinese, Japanese, and that's why English language. It's just one way how to cope and. I try to use all these opportunities because I see that they help me, for example, to extend my borders, to find new friends, to know something new, and to understand this culture. For example, volunteers, they are not teenagers, but that young people who help us here on campus, they share with us about information about different events, festivals, cafes, their lovely restaurants, and they gave us so many new knowledge. And for example, one of volunteers, she told us, "Do you know that Renaissance Festival?" And I don't know. But next week we went to that festival, and it was wow! It was so interesting.
It is very interesting.
Wow.
Of course, it has his own peculiarities, but
it's a big peculiarity.
When I saw a lot of people in costumes, and I was, wow, we haven't prepared for this event.
Okay. Costumes in Russia.
Yeah. Okay. In Russia, in Moscow, we have really we have a great costumes atelier. A company who creates costumes for musicians, for performances. And I think, I need to ask them to create.
So you can come back to the Renaissance Festival
for the next year.
Steal the show.
Have you been able to go back at all?
Yeah,
yes,
of course. Okay. But on the border, it's today. It can be a little bit scary because immigration officers in Russia, they ask you where are you from, and when you tell them I'm from the United States, I see a huge gas in the eyes, and but I just turn back to my native country, and for me, it's important that I don't want to. Do you have this word agonized? Agonized between two countries. I try to explain my friends in Russia that we have a lot of similar approaches in our lives, and that we are, as people, we are really similar. And the governments, it's another one story. But before you think about government, you need to think about people. And that each person on this planet has this, most of them have the same intentions: to be happy, to be healthy, to have a family around them, and to be happy for their parents, for their kids. And we need to get knowledge from other people, from other cultures. And as I mentioned earlier, for example, that fathers should be more involved in their family life. It's a good example. And for example, when we used to live in the Soviet Union, it was it was mainstream for kids to help other people. For example, when we were in pioneers, we have to go somewhere and clean up, for example, parks territories, or do something together with our classmates. But here we faced with the same approach, but here it called in different words, like volunteers.
Yes, right.
But the main idea is the same.
Yeah.
To help other people, to share your efforts, to share your knowledge, and I see how many people struggle in Russia and how many people struggle here, and they live in poverty. And
it makes me happy to hear that your neighbors welcomed you in that way, and it makes me think about how people are people, and they see you for who you are, not who your government is.
And which is my language, which was my language. But I prefer to think that good people, the amount of good people, it's more than amount of bad people.
Agreed.
And you just need to open your eyes, and you need to see this. You need to have attention to see this. And of course, when you move from one place to another country, you see a lot of you face with a lot of obstacles. But from the other side, you can see a lot of beautiful, interesting things. And for example, for me, it was something like a miracle. When we were kids, we read a lot of adventure stories about indigenous people, about traveling, and it was so interesting. And I never thought that I can see it in my life. And today, I see, for example, when we were in Arizona, in New Mexico, I saw and I imagined, wow, it can be from Mind Read novel. Wow, maybe he tried to explain us that moment, or this scene was on that place, and it was so fascinating. And I think that movement to another country, you can just extend your knowledge, luggage, just study history, new culture, how to communicate with new people, their language, and you just open a new planet. For me, it's something like this, with his own interesting moments, and there are a lot of interesting moments. You just need to open your eyes.
I'm wondering what has changed for you in your daily life? Like a day in the life of Tanya when you lived in Moscow, and a day in the life now that you live here. Like what is similar, what is different?
Because you worked in Moscow, didn't you?
Yeah, I worked in Moscow, but we had our own company, and I can manage my time. I don't need to go to the office day by day, from 8 to 5. For me, just changed our environment. For example, for me, the most important thing was I miss about our museums, because in Moscow we used to live in the center of the city, and everything was just in 30 minutes walking from your house to museum, to theater close to our house, and just in 13 minutes was Philharmonic. We had a lot of theaters, and every week we visited different theaters.
Wow, every week. Yeah.
And for example, I can left my son in his musical club, and I went to theater, and every week I saw 1 or 2 places, and
Wow.
it was really well.
Yeah.
And Moscow, and for me, another one interesting thing was here every buildings there looks really similar, and I took my navigator for a long period of time because I can't understand where am I, because in Moscow you have like in New York, you just you have
Landmarks,
beautiful
right?
landmarks when you can analyze. Okay, I'm in this part of the city.
Right.
I need to go there, and I need to turn on the right or on the left, and then I will go there. But here, just wood, just similar houses,
Yes.
and you just wow.
Where am I?
Yeah, where am I?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, if you will go in another city, many places they look similar because they have the same building constructions for Walmart, for Target. They just put some projects and take some projects and put on the same places.
Sure.
Or different places.
Another Starbucks. Another
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
I mean, I don't. Sorry, but I don't like Starbucks and their quality of coffee. But I saw in Galveston they try to explain people that they need to help their local coffee shops, and they tell we appreciate that you like Starbucks, but please support other locals because they need to survive, and they can provide you better service, better quality of coffee, and maybe a lot of they try to organize different events in their coffee shops. And I think, wow, it's great.
Yeah,
It's
part of the
absolutely
Later,
community.
I can recommend some small independent coffee shops around
Off the
here.
air, right?
Off the air, yes.
But I think that it's a great way to create your community because people they share with you their what do they find here, their coffee shops, restaurants, different small I don't know, shops, something. And it's important because it's like when you mine gold. This knowledge, because it's this knowledge, they're based on experience,
Right.
and they're most important. Then you will try. Let's try this place, that place, and it can take a long time to explore. For example, your surroundings.
Yes.
But when people tell you, and they can show you, I have my beautiful classmate Alejandra. She likes good restaurants, and from time to time we recommend each other. Have you been there? It's an amazing place.
Well, that's what's so nice. You all in these classes are in the same situation where you're trying to find your places. And so as each person finds a place, then you share together and you slowly build that network together. I think that's what bonds our students so much is.
Yeah, and for example, a few months ago we traveled around Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and I shared with my classmates information about that journey. And a few days ago, they asked me, Tanya, please explain us. What should we do? Where should we go? And it was a big pleasure for me. It's I know what can I recommend them, and it's why not?
Yes, of course, why not share that? And they're all going there for spring break. They're going to Arizona. So.
Not only that, but you now are like our local expert on like traveling to the southwest part of the United States. And that's probably pretty exciting as someone who's only been here for a year and a half that you can recommend like a whole itinerary, right?
Yeah, and every day I wake up and think, oh, I forget to tell them about this. And I think, oh, I need to tell them about that.
They're leaving soon.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you've built, you talked about your sons and how they had to leave their lives and start something new here. Have you been able to build friendships, community? What has that been like for you?
Yeah, and it's interesting that when you live in one place, you create a lot of links. You made friends, but when you move somewhere, you need to organize your community circle again. And it's, for example, in another country, it's completely different situation because, for example, in Russia, you can choose because there are a lot of people who speak Russian, and you just divide them. It's my type of person or not. But here, I couldn't say that we have a huge community, for example, Russian community.
Sure.
But all these people, you just have what you have. And but maybe it's a chance to change your type of person. It's time to change your behavior to people. You don't need to judge them. You don't need to be so judgment to someone. You just need to accept them as they are. And I found a lot of so interesting people, and I think that in real life in Russia, maybe we will not cross one day, but here it's wow. It can be a professor from Yale University, and it's an oligarch wife, and at the same time a teacher or a doctor or a bus driver, and all of that people. They try to live all together, and they are in one community, and it's people from absolutely different spheres than I was. I met a lot of people who really cope with many problems, many obstacles here. And it's time to appreciate your life too, because you see that you live not so bad as they are.
How blessed you are.
Yeah, and in Russia, immigrants, I think nowadays, I think that most of them live in troubles, live in difficulties, and I know how they live there. And but here there are a lot of nationalities, and a lot of it's so huge, diverse, and absolutely different world. I've never seen something similar somewhere. And it's so interesting that a lot of different cultures and how they combine their cultures, how they survive all together with peace. And it's, for me, it's great. It's absolutely great. And for example, some of our neighbors, one of them from Canada, other from Belgium, another from Mexico, from Pakistan. But we live on one street, and we live all together in peace, and our kids, they're good friends. Wow, it's so interesting.
It's beautiful.
It's
That's
beautiful. Yeah.
Well, Tanya, I think we have taken up enough of your spring break. This was lovely. Thank you for taking time to come and talk with us. I always learn so much from you when we have any conversation, and it's been just a delight to have an extended chance to really hear about your experience and your family, and we're so grateful that you're here, and thank you for volunteering
Thank you.
to do this.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing. You give me a lot to think about,
Yes,
too,
same,
from your perspective.
same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. And I think this week, Becky, you have to do the thank yous. So you need to thank my nephew, Jack, and my husband, Eddie. Get going.
Thank you, nephew Jack. Thank you, husband Eddie. The music is great, and I need to go to Spotify and find your nephew and like his music. And Eddie, thank you so much for enduring us. You have been fantastic.
The views and opinions expressed in this interview are those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Lone Star College.